Good morning, guys. I'm Chris, and welcome back to this Sunday's episode of Rift Amps. Laney clip. Do you remember earlier on in the year we had one of these in, which was a very popular video. So thank you to everyone who watched that series. Now, I had a phone call yesterday. No, tell a lie, I had a WhatsApp yesterday. From a local recording studio who've got quite a big artist in at the moment for, I don't know if it's an album or just a single or whatever they're doing. Anyway, two of the guitar amps that they were using have gone down. Contacted me and said, could I help them out because they are struggling? Of course I can, no problem. So this one and the other one, which I will show you later on, maybe in this video, maybe in another, we will get onto them, see if we can get them fixed pronto, because we've got to get these things turned around, because obviously the artist is paying for studio hire and the amps they want to use are not working. So, Laney clip, we all know what these are, 60 watts. It's got the really cool, interesting clip circuit, the overdrive circuit. The problem with this one is, and I quote, "It turns on, but the output to the cab is extremely thin and noisy sounding, very quiet. We tried a few different cabinets, all with the right impedance, and had the same problem." So, oh dear, we've got a problem with the output. So, best thing to do is to plug it in on the bench, see if we can replicate the fault, and take it from there. Shall we play Guess the Problem, or Guess the Cause? Off the top of my head, I'm thinking output impedance switch. Do you remember we had the problem on the other one? Or we're talking dirty output sockets, or possibly even a fault with the output stage or the phase inverter. So out of those three, I'm going to guess, having not looked at this at all, the speaker impedance switch. So let me know in the comments down below what you think the problems are, what you think the issue might be before we get on to diagnosing it any further. And if any of you wait until the end of the video and then comment because you know the answer, I will know, so don't even try. Right, let's crack on. Right, on the bench. 8-ohm load connected, 8-ohm load selected. We'll fire it up through the dummy load, not through the dummy load, through the light bulb, and then we'll see what happens. Both switches in the on position, and she's on. Excellent. It's actually in really nice condition, this one. The grill cloth looks great, couple of scuffs on the Tolex, but nothing bad at all. And the faceplate is in wonderful condition. Really nice. Could do with a little bit of a clean up, but nothing major. Right, we're currently pulling in restriction mode, 36 watts, out of the wall. Should we get some light on us? Get my beauty light going. There you go, that's better, isn't it? Okay, full power. We'll just let it come up, see what she does. She's only pulling 52 watts, which seems a little low. Let's have a look then. 241 volt mains, and it's pulling 245 milliamps. I would have thought that this would pull a little bit more. Speaker connected first, so let's go treble, middle, bass, volume. I can hear hum through the speaker, but no hiss. Okay, load. Let's put a signal into it. Input 1. Signal generator on. Let's go presence on full, middle on full. Let's bring the volume up. No output. Let's make sure we're on the right channel. no output. Clip channel. Tell you what, let me just make sure I'm not being an idiot. Nope. No output on that channel. Signal generator is on. This channel, no output. No output whatsoever. This is not good. Volume's down. Speaker. Oh, I can hear very low output now. So we go back to this load. Yeah, I mean, there's no output there whatsoever. But it turns on, which means we can do signal tracing. So amplifier off, off, unplugged, disconnect. Let's get the chassis out the cab, visual inspection, and then let's start signal tracing. As we've got the amp on this bench, we'll do everything here. What have I done with my glasses? There's an inspection sticker on the back. It says this was inspected April 2025. That's a little chewed up, that one. Okay, rear panel off. Okay. Do we see anything out of the ordinary? And they're warm, so they were definitely on. Marshall branded EL 34s. Okay, HT fuse appears to be intact. And that is good. And it should be a 1 amp fuse, and the one that's in it is a 1 amp fuse. Okay. So next job will be chassis screws. As always, protect the transformers. Right, just pull this out. Both channels not working. Let's connect up the CompuBias. Stick our output valves back in. I'll show you inside in just a minute. This is kind of like my perfect repair, you know. Amp turns on, no or very little output. Can we find out what the problem is, what the cause is? I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, let's connect up a load again. I'm on the load again. One moment. Okay, hopefully you can all see now inside the chassis. What do I spot? Well, it hasn't had a recap. Fine, okay. It's not uncommon to see that. Would that be the cause of our problems? I don't know, but I can tell you that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all filter caps are bulging. What about the one in the bias supply? Not entirely sure. There is a resistor here which looks rather toasty. This one here. So that's something to consider. But for the time being, let's get this thing fired up back again. See if we have anything conducting in the CompuBias. Inject a signal into the front end, and let's do some signal tracing. See if we can find where in the circuit, all without a schematic, the signal does drop out. So safety checks, nothing connected that shouldn't be, restriction mode, let's go. Right, amp is fully warmed up, and our low wattage that we saw earlier was indeed an indication of a fault, because as you can see on the CompuBias, we've only got 19 volts on our anodes. No current flowing through them, they're not dissipating anything. So this amp has got a severe lack of B+. So, can you see, here's my meter. Just pop it there. Can you see what's going on? So if we go to pin 3 of one of our output valves, so that's showing 622 volts. And on this side, 622 volts. Wait, What? But the CompuBias is only showing 18. Any idea? What? What about our screens? I'm not misreading that. 610 on that side. 610 on that side. So what? This is only reading 70. Do you think it's because it's over its limit? Right. Amp off. Discharge cable on. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Not grounded. Pin 8s of our output valves not grounded. Or should I say, yeah, look, open circuit. Open circuit. Let me go pull a schematic. Right, here's the schematic. Laney clip 60. So unlike the other one, which was the 100 watter, 2E. Oh my God, what am I saying? 2 EL34s in the output stage rather than 4. And look, the cathodes are tied together. And there's a resistor to ground, which I believe should be a 10 ohm, possibly. Apologies, that was the landlord. Apparently the man from the water board is coming to inspect all of the taps on site for compliance. I don't know. Anyway, as I was saying, there is a resistor to ground. It's probably 10 ohms. So let's find that. I believe it's probably this one here, if I remember correctly. So if we go from the cathodes to there, but then across there, I bet you this is the one that's blown. If we go back to continuity mode, this should connect to ground, which it does. So that resistor's blown. That might be the problem. This one here. We might. Oh, we're getting a reading now. It does look toasty. Yeah, it's brown and brown. So it's just a 10 ohm resistor, isn't it? So let's go disconnect cable on, mains is off. Now we come. Let's go across it again. Yeah, it's open circuit. There it is, right. So I would argue that's probably a 1 watt metal oxide, 10 ohms. Right, I need to go through my stash, see if I've got one. I shall be back in just a moment. Incredibly, 10 ohms is not a value that I regularly stock, but I did find in my stash a little bag with 3 of these really old 10 ohm resistors in. I've been through all of them, and this one measures bang on 10 ohms. So as we're time limited today, this is what we're going to go for, because they do want this thing back up and running very, very quickly. We are limited on what we can do, so I can't go out and order stuff. But yeah, I realised I never actually use 10 ohm resistors. Just not something I use every day. I don't even have a drawer up on the wall for 10 ohms. Got one for 1 ohms, but not 10. Isn't that amazing? So this will have to do. Now, we would be stupid and silly if we did not ask ourselves the question, why has that resistor blown? Right? Absolutely. Why has that resistor failed? Well, too much current has flown through it. So are we looking at a faulty set of output valves? Probably, but we can soft start this thing on the bench. We can measure and test. And if there is indeed the need to replace those output valves, we can do so, burn them all in and get this amp collected this afternoon so they can go record with it. My recommendation to them obviously will be this amp is in desperate need of a recap. It's way overdue. We've got to protect those partridges, but I can only make recommendations, right? So let's go ahead and get this. In fact, I'm probably going to mount that way. Well, my prediction of a faulty impedance switch was wrong, wasn't it? Right, okay. Come on, get melting. Come on. Okay, that's now in. From cathodes to ground. £10. Lovely. Right, okay. So let's soft start this thing again. Discharge cable off. CompuBias on. If I put that there, can you see? Just about. Restriction mode on. And idiot check. Let's see what we get. Well, we have high voltage back, and I can see our cathode current is starting to flow. Okay, I'm going to give it full power. I'm going to have my hand near the power switch just in case I need to switch this thing off. Okay, 586 volts each side, 22 watts on one, 18 on the other. These output valves are biased very, very hot. We're now drawing 95 watts out of the wall, so I bet we would get a signal pass through if I inject a signal. But I'm just going to let this settle down for a time being. I'm also going to do, bear in mind about how hot these get, anode voltage, 480, 480, screen voltage, 564. Is it the same on both sides? 580, 564. Cathode voltage, 778, well, 780 millivolts there, but it's not a 1 ohm resistor, it's a 10 ohm resistor. That means we get 78, 42 plus 37, 40, 75, that's saying. Okay, we're close enough. Let's just see what happens. I mean, you can tell that EL34 at 25 watts, and this one is the one on the right-hand side as we're looking at it, is biased at 100%. So the bias is far too hot in this amp. So we do need to consider that. And we do have, see, we've got a 5-6 milliamp difference, which is kind of the limit in terms of whether they're matched or not. But I'm going to cool the bias down, and then we can come back and check it again. Let's check the bias voltage itself. And on this side, negative 51.5. On this side, negative 51.2. So there is a slight difference, but nothing major. Do you remember on the other one, these two caps were leaky? I think we're okay. I think we just need to increase the bias voltage, bring these down. I mean, so we're looking at, where do we want these to be? We want these to be 25, at maximum 70%, really. So 17.5 watts. So we are well over anyway, even on the cooler side. So definitely need to cool these down. So schematic. If we need to increase our bias voltage, ways to do that. Well, if we look at our bias supply, here it is. So it taps off the high voltage, a 200k resistor. Then our diode, we've got a 56k resistor to ground. We've got a filter cap here. Now we do know, so this is saying negative 50 volts. So we're not far off where it needs to be, but we do know if that cap is leaky, it can cause problems with our bias. But if we want to increase our bias voltage, we need to increase that 56k resistor. That's no problem. We can do that. But let's replace that cap first, this one here. Come back, see where we are, see if we get any change. Because if they start to fail, you will start to run a hotter bias. So let's replace that cap, come back, measure a change, and go from there. So amplifier off, discharge cable on, which is that one. Yeah, I'm off. There we go. So this is a 15 microfarad at 160 volts. To be fair, 15 microfarad is probably a little low. If we increase it, we are going to get a bit more hum reduction in. Well, we are going to get more filtering, I should say, in the bias supply. So let's go to a 50 at 100 volts. I mean, the bias supply is it's currently 51. We are going to increase that slightly, so a 100 volt cap is still going to be above kind of where we need to be. So let's do that first, shall we? Are we disconnected? $15 microfarad, 160 volts. Let's get the cheap tester on it. This is the Goyerns. This is probably the cheapest Chinese tester you can buy. It is fun to use though. Right, so we're going for, we'll put it on the 20 microfarad range. And we get 16 microfarad. It's bang on, look at that. Wow. That is, of course, that you trust that meter. Let's stick our other cap in though. What have I done with it? Here it is. Right, discharge cable off. Are we still rolling? We are. New cap in. Let's just see if that makes any difference. I'm kind of 50-50 at the moment as to whether it does. But we do, you know my rules about power supplies, bias supplies, get your foundations right, everything else is good. So let's go again. Restriction mode first of all, fire the amp up. And then that 56k. So the next value up from 56k, if we need that in the E12 scheme, is 68k. So we'll get a 68k 1 watt. Ready to go. Okay, full power. You still see the compy bias, just about. Now we're hot. Now we're cooking. Wow, look at that. That's gone the other way. That's really gone the other way. Well, it's cooling down now. So what do we have? We had about 51 volts, didn't we? DC. So the bias voltage has actually gone less negative, but now we're bang on where the schematic said it should be. I seem to remember that these amps were noted for running extremely hot. So let's increase that resistor then. Let's do that. See, we're now bang on the 50 volts that we should be at, that the schematic says anyway. Let's swap that resistor out. Amp off, discharge cable on, you out the way. So by increasing this resistor, we're going to be we're increasing resistance to ground. This resistor goes to ground. So by increasing its value, less voltage goes to ground. So we bleed off less voltage, and more of our negative voltage goes to the grids of our output valve. So that's how we are going to cool the bias off. Out you come. 56k. Would be remiss of me to not measure its value out of circuit. There you go, 53k, so it's actually dropped in value slightly, which will contribute. But even if it was 56k, that bias is far too hot, so we might end up having to parallel some resistors to get the value that we actually need where these valves are. If I had longer, it might be an idea to put an adjustment pot in, and then we can dial it in exactly where we want, but we don't have time. We'll just get these in. Okay, that's now in. Discharge cable off. Voltage back on. I'll connect you up there. We can monitor the bias voltage, see if that's changed. So restriction mode again, amp on. We'll just let it settle. Full power. Bias voltage is now more negative, which is good. And you can see our bias has cooled, and we'll just let that settle down. We may have gone too far with it, but you can see there's a huge difference between those two valves now. So I suspect we're going to need another set of EL34s. So we're now up to negative 55 volts. One side is biased at 18.8 watts, so a bit over 70%, the other is at 13. So we do have a set of mismatched valves. You see how that changed once we moved the bias point. Right, let's get a matched set of EL34s, plug those in, and then see where they end up in the amp. Okay, brand new set of EL34s in, JJs. Let's go restriction mode on. Fire this thing up and see where we end up on the bias point. So bias voltage is coming up. High voltage is there. We're still in restriction mode, so we'll just let this thing settle down a little bit, then we'll give it full mains and see what we get. Here you go, they're starting to come alive now. So we still have a difference. But these are now biased extremely cold, so I think we need to go back to our original resistor value on the bias, but we've still got a split as well, which is interesting, and it's sided on the amp. Right, off again. This would be so much easier if I had a bias pot. Okay, so 68k coming out. So was it 56k? Let's get a brand new 56k. Back in 56k. What this does tell us though is that those Marshall branded EL34s have reached the end of their life. They are gone. They need so much bias voltage to get anywhere sensible that they're simply not usable. Right, discharge cable off, resistor back in, restriction mode. Let's see where we end up. Now the bias voltage is swung completely the other way. Isn't that fascinating? Let's just double check that. On the behave. On this side, negative 48. On this side, negative 48. But we're now in a more comfier spot. We're still slightly too hot. So we need somewhere between. Let's let this settle down, shall we? If we can get our bias voltage back to, not in restriction mode, are we? No. Negative 50. I think we'll put these back perfectly where they want to be. So we're currently at 56k and 68k was too high. So halfway point between those would be 6. So that's a what? A 12k difference. So we need a 62k. We need to make a, I would say, a 62k resistor to get these where they want to be. That's my prediction. I ended up with two 120k's in parallel. You can see my bias voltage is at negative 51. Bias point on the hottest valve is around 18 watts. On the coolest one, it's about 14. It is a sided problem in the amp, the discrepancy in the amp, but let me show you. So we go to the hot side. 592 on your plates. 591 on that side, your screens. Bit of flux there, sorry. 577. 577 on your grid. Negative 51.3. And on this side, negative 51.3. So, yeah, one side is running. Oh no, look, they've come in now. They've just settled down. Did you see that? They've come in perfectly. At 14 watts per side, which puts us 25 divided by 14.2. No, sorry, the way around. 14.2 divided by 25. 56. So we're in the 50 to 70% range. Lovely. Let's inject a signal into the amp, which we're doing. And I can see on my scope, I have output. A tiny bit of crossover distortion, so perhaps we could bias them a bit hotter, but you see it's doing 20 volts into 8 ohms, which is 50 watts, right? So we're good enough. We're good enough for a quick repair on an amp that admittedly does need quite a bit more TLC on it. So I've got actually a bit more time. So we're going to go through, clean all the pots, sockets and stuff like that. But you can see we've now got an amplifier with working output again. So that's good news. All we needed was a couple of resistors and a set of output valves. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with that. And yeah, moving on. And the other amp, which the recording studio dropped over, is this PVPA head. It is model 260. It's a 400 watt head, PV series 260, made in USA. It's a solid state thing, I believe. Now, I don't usually take this stuff on, don't usually touch it. But I'll have a quick look just in case, you know, it's something quick and easy and obvious. But I have got amps to get building. So, customer complaint on this one. On the PV, switched it on and it sounded great last night. We turned it off for a while and then it wouldn't turn back on. Exact same issue this morning. It turned on first thing and it wouldn't turn back on again once we had turned it off. Very interesting. So, let's... Oh, that fuse holder's a bit chewed up. Let's get this thing on the bench, plug it into a load, and see what it does. Right, here it is then. 4 ohm load connected. We are missing an input for channel 1, input A. That socket's missing entirely, so when we get this thing apart, we'll be able to see what's going on. But let's just do the simple checks. Turn the thing on. We'll use the switch on the back, and we'll see what actually happens when we flick the switch. So we've got an input surge there, the lights come on. We're pulling 10 watts out the wall at the moment. Some of these pots do not feel nice. Okay, so 10 watts, let's give it full power. Does it say what it should pull out the wall? More than that, I would say. $400 watts at 50 hertz, and we're only pulling 11. I can't imagine that's right. Off, on, off. Ah, and it hasn't come back on again. Off, on, and the light is off. If I wiggle that power switch. Okay, faulty switch. Do that again for you. Off, on. The switch hasn't flicked over. If I wiggle the switch, I can feel the thing's not swapping. I think it's just a broken power switch. Here you go, on again. So whilst it is on, let's just try an output, shall we? Channel 4, input A. Let's go master on full, volume up. We've got output on the scope. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, I think we just got a dodgy main switch. Off. Off. Yeah, you can feel it's not nice. Let's get this thing apart quickly. This might be a super quick and easy fix for us, which would be great. Oh, that doesn't feel nice. 3, 4, disconnected. What's holding that into place? Oh, it's catching on the corner. Does the transformer hang off the back of that? It's catching on the... Does it have to slide out the front? I can't imagine so, but... Happy to be corrected. They're catching on the corners as well. Have I got to take the corners off to get this thing apart? Hopefully, if I just remove the top ones, that gives us... Yes, it does. Does it? Yeah, it does. Ah, well, look. Well, there's your input that's missing. So we need a lock washer, and we can reattach that for them. Nothing on the front panel to report. Mains transformer is mounted on that rear panel. Okay. Right, let's just quickly do this front panel fix. Whilst we've got this off, we'll stick that back together then. Okay, lock washer, flat washer, nut. Anything else I see whilst I've got the front off? Other than a load of electrolytics that are probably due for replacement at some point. Okay, so that's that one then. So let's come back, spin this thing around. So we are going to need to take off. Let's just do the top one, shall we? Hopefully that gives us enough clearance to get the back panel out. Still recording. There we go. Whoa, look at the size of those capacitors. Woo! So it's a closed main switch, like an old Fender. The old Fender 4-poles, which I don't have. So what do I have that's going to work? Can we get an APEM to fit? Yes, we can. APEM 641H. That's going to work beautifully. So tape to tape on that one. Single one there. In fact, what I need to do... Let's label all of these. So this one's got 3 marks next to it. So I'll call this one 1, 2, 3. This one, if these are sided, that's easy enough. Yes, they are. Yes. Actually, that one didn't need to come off at all. It's only the ones from the front. This one, red to the top. Can we match that up a certain way? Yes, we can. I'll just put a mark on it, so we know. And that's the panel out. I don't think you guys really need to see me swapping a main switch over. I don't think it's that exciting. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that on the other bench, and I'll come back and we'll do that. And then we'll fire this thing up, test it, make sure it's all good. Right, old main switch is out. It is... Looks like one of those old Carlings that you find on black panel fenders, or that sort of thing. Probably is exactly the same. So new APEM switch is in. We'll just buzz down this rear panel. And then we can fire it up and test it. But when those switches fail, I mean, yes, you could strip it down and clean it, but often the switch has reached the end of its life cycle. So you just put another one in, and then the amp is good to go. Right. So before I put the corners back on, we'll just give it a load. So off. I want you to see the light. Do you see the light, man? There it is. So switch is off on the back. Power supply to the amp is on. Let's hit the switch. Boom. On. Off. On. Off. On. Off. On. Off. Fixed. So yeah, that's what it was. Main switch. As simple and as easy as that. All done within the bench fee time. So customer can have both units back today, which I'm sure they'll be very pleased about. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The quick and easy repair main switch replacement on this PV Series, oh look, not stuck in there. Series 260. I thought we'd just check which side of the switch has actually failed. So we'll start with the, we'll call the neutral side. See, so switch is in the off position. You can see open circuit. Flip the switch into the on position and it's still open circuit. Off, on, off, on. I can hear it's not quite clicking inside. If I go to the other side, what we'll call the live side. Oh, both sides have failed. Oh no, that one, see, that one's gone. That one's now working. Off. Oh, there you go, it's stuck again. There you go, it flipped then. So, knackered switch. Not going to take it apart, not going to bother. The customer can have that back if they want it. But we'll call that fix complete. This is the PR18 rebuild that I was doing in a previous video. So I always offer a service where we update much older amplifiers or any amplifier that I built to the latest specification if the customer wants. This amp was so old that it's pretty much a full rebuild, which is what I've done. So this one is just waiting on a new rear plate with all the latest markings and stuff on to make sure that it is fully compliant, all that kind of stuff. So when that arrives, the customer can have this one back. So good news on that front. Right, I just need to pull out the reverb unit from this J20 rebuild because, as you know, as part of it, I do improve the grounding scheme on the amp. This particular reverb unit is very buzzy, quite an aggressive buzz on it as well. So I need to get this unit pulled out. Now, the last one that I did that had the reverb unit, this was Velcroed to the side of the cabinet. Now, you might argue that's a good idea or not, but this particular one is not. You can see it is attached, but it appears, and I'll zoom you in just to show you, it appears to be this screw here through the transformer, through the unit itself, because that's moving separately to the unit. I mean, the whole thing is loose and flopping about anyway. I mean, that's how it is. Right, so that's not good. So, but in order to get this out, I think I'm going to have to pull the speaker out because I don't think I can get my super long screwdriver in to get that undone. Hopefully I can. Hopefully there's just enough. I'm sensible with it. We can pull that out. And I haven't got to remove the speaker. I mean, I will have to put it back in properly and secure it properly. Yeah, super long screw all the way through. And that should then allow this unit to come out. Yeah, so that's how it's attached. Anyway, I need to go through this, double check the grounding in this unit relative to the other ones I've seen too, so then I know whether I need to make any changes to it so we don't get any ground loops or ground hum once we rebuild this amp. Right then, let's just have a quick look at these before we go any further. So this is the reverb unit itself, and this is the foot switch, which turns this unit on and off. So we'll just get this thing apart. Phillips, not Posi. Unfortunately, however, I mean, this one in particular, because it's got DC going to it, high voltage DC, and low voltage, high current AC for the heaters, it should be marked as a separate unit with all the correct markings on it, but it's not. But anyway, so that's the foot switch unit. You'll see, yeah. So I've just got the on-off switch, got an alpha pot, probably 1 meg. No, 250k. Cool. Just go in to the switch and then vary back. Okay, fair enough. All right. That should be fine, that one. Nothing to worry about on that. Let's have a look at the reverb unit itself. Now, the last one I saw was pretty much a straight up Fender style reverb circuitry. Although this one has a 12A Y7 here and a 12AX7 here. We'll have to see which one is which. We've got a reverb control and a tone control, probably just a treble bleed to ground on the output. Foot switch connection in and out for the tank. That's signal in and out to the amp, and this is your high voltage connection. So you've got B+, you've got ground, and you've got your 2 heaters. Right, so let's buzz the back off. Oh, we're missing 2. Okay, slightly different than I remember. I'll have to go through it. I mean, a lovely piece of insulating board. I mean, at least it's got some insulation. That's, you know. So he's using a 12AY7 as his reverb driver. A lot of people say you can't use a 12AY7 as a reverb driver. And I am a big proponent of actually, yes, you can. If you design the circuit properly, there's no reason why you can't. But I'm pretty sure the last one I saw was a 12AT7. I'll need to dig out my bits and pieces. Okay, everything in there appears to be normal. And then we've just got one does what? Oh no, I've got my wires crossed there. That's pin 1. Some slight revisions in here as far as I remember. I'm going to have to draw it out and double check. But we've got send, return, 220k to ground. And that then comes back into pin 2 of recovery side. Pin 1 goes off there. The output cap has got 2 10s in series. 2 10 nanofarads. Why wouldn't you use a single 4N7? They're readily available. Anyway, and then from there we go to, that's high voltage, that's your link, that couples up to the pot output level. Okay, all right. I'll go through it and work it all out, but I just need to see if he's connected the audio ground and the high voltage ground to the same point, or if he's accidentally created a loop in there. I'll have to buzz it out. But anyway, that's what they look like inside. Slightly different to the one I saw before. Interesting, he's used a jack-on filter cap in there rather than the F&Ts that he puts inside the amp. Yeah, it's all cheap and nasty bits in here. Things could be improved, but you'd have to pay me a bit more money to do that. Okay, all right. That's inside there anyway. We will, I'll draw it out relative, or I'll compare it, sorry, to the last one I saw. Mainly the grounding scheme, because as I said, when I rebuild the chassis, I don't want to inadvertently create ground loop that doesn't need to be there. Cool. Right, there you go. Moving on. This is the PR35 that came in that was running extremely hot. And remember, it had a failed set of 6L6s. Well, the new set has gone in. I'm actually really liking the tongue sole short bottles at the moment, having a good run of luck with those at the moment. I just want to show you the bias figures. So this is where it's ended up. About 445 anode voltage, just under 50 milliamps each side, biased at, you know, call it 22 watts, right? Can you see that? There you go. So we do 22 divided by 30 puts us at 73%. So that's beautiful. That's lovely. That's now running in, and I'll just show you on the scope as well. We'll bring it up to maximum, just clipping at the top there, back it back down. So for 35 watts, well, I'll tell you what, 17 volts into 8 ohms is 36 watts, and that's 16.8. Right down there in the corner. Hopefully that's in focus. Comfortably does the wattage. It's running great. I'm going to leave this burning in now for an hour or two. Come back, double check the numbers, then heat cycle it, give it another hour. And if it all passes that, then we can sign this repair off and it can go back to the customer. But yeah, I just wanted to show you what that looks like. Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, as always, please give this video a thumbs up. All of your comments and questions down below. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. If you're feeling super generous, why not buy a t-shirt or join the channel that these guys have And I will, as always, catch you all at the next one. You join me. I have finished work for the week and I'm just packing the van up because we are off to Anglesey for the final race meeting of the year. And I figured now is the time to service my quick jack, the rocket lift. It's got a problem in that there's quite a bit of movement. You can see I'm moving it quite a lot. You get loads of movement before you actually get any lifting going on. And I haven't topped up the oil or bled the system with any air in quite a long time, so I figured I'd do that. Sorry, shaky camera. So I've just been cleaning around the port. There's 3 ports here, 2 that you don't go into whatsoever, and there's 1 just in here. And that's where you top up the oil. And I've got, from my stash, silver hook, hydraulic and jack oil, ISO 46. So we'll take off the plug. Now I can't find a leak on this anywhere. Cannot find a leak. So I don't know where the oil is going, but it is low. There is an O-ring on there which isn't particularly round, so if I can find a replacement in my stash, I will do so. But we're going to top that oil up. Just need to find my small funnel, which I think is out the front. And we're going to add some oil to it now. I want a bit more control, because it is going to go everywhere. I'll tell you what we'll do. Put some kitchen roll underneath. Mop up any spills. Yeah, that'll work. And then, whoop, I'd like to measure how much we use. That might be a little bit excessive. I'll tell you what I will do though. So we will. So apparently what you do is you fill it up until it spills. Oh, that was easy. Oh, burped then. Maybe that was just too much that came out. Oh, I'm making a right mess here. Might be there with this. You can't see what's going on here, but it is actually taking quite a bit of oil. Right. It has stopped burping. God, I've made a right mess. Now, what I'm going to do is zoom you in. Looking here. Can I get more light on it? Apparently what you're meant to do is pump the handle. You see it burping. Shall I put more in now? Why not? God, it's taking quite a bit. It's going to squirt all of this out in a minute, isn't it? God, it's taking loads. Ah, right, anyway. Let's let it down. God, did you see how many bubbles came out then? Wasn't that fascinating? Right, let's pump again. So now I think I'm just letting loads of oil out. But we definitely got some out, didn't we? Some dirty oil out. So now, I wonder if I top it up again, burp it once, and then get the screw on. There you go. There we go. Oh, that's moving early. That's good. So let's just to there. Release the pressure again. See how that burped? Yeah, okay, right, I'm going to put the screw in and see if that makes a difference to how this performs. There we go. Right, fully uptight. And up she goes. And what's happening is I'm getting tension there now, so that's the upright position. I bring it back slightly. I can feel the hydraulic pressure there, whereas before it was going halfway down the... There we go. So release that down. Tighten it up again. One more round. Yeah, beautiful. Right, so I made a right mess with this, haven't I? Excess oil back in here. Lid back on there. Beautiful. Right. Now to clean it all up. Brake cleaner. Look at that. Beautiful action. Oh, yeah. 4 pumps to the top, look. Right. And whilst we're down here, let's check all the screws. Things that feel tight. They do. There you go. That'll do. Back down one more time. So, all the way to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. 4 pumps to the top. Poof! Right, that's it. I can go back in the van now once I've had a proper clean up of it. And clean up all this spilt oil. Ha! Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you at the next one.